Jess on his right. Hey, hold up. Don't start a fight. He's got you covered with all the sports. Don't fret, he's wearing shorts. It's time for Waking Jake in the morning. Waking Jake at night. Jake sucks.
Good morning, Bakers. What's going on, Bakers? Good morning. Welcome to Wake and Jake. Myself, big, beautiful baby David, in the upper corner. Some of you might recognize him from lower corners or lower places. But here he is. Here we are. It is February 3rd. First show of February. How about it? My goodness. Soon it'll be spring training. Maybe. Need the lockout to end.
Either will or won't be.
Will or won't be. We're thinking about what to do for today's Wake and Jake, because we're in a bit of a, I don't want to say sports hole, but I'll say sports hole whenever I want. Because I like the way it sounds. No, I mean, NBA and NHL are rolling. Lost my one NHL bet I made yesterday live. So if people copied me on that, I'm sorry. I'd like to get ahead of that.
I believe Tom Ace did say he bet his actual house on it.
Oh, boy. That is not the news you want to hear. I actually, DraftKings, not an ad, they give you the option to cash out on bets at a certain point. So I had the Islanders to win by 2 goals, and it was a 0-0 game. And it gave me like a $14 cash out now option. I was like, let's do it. Let's get out of here. And then they ended up losing by 3. So winning money by losing money. The Jake Storielli story. No, Tom Brady retired. I think we'll talk about that a little bit. Jess popped the chat. Blake Paxton, Jada Genius, Lily, Adam Kleinman, Zendino, obviously Michelle Haley. I want to talk some baseball today. We got the itch a little bit yesterday. We did Talkin' Baseball. Go check that out. And we're talking about where we think the top 10 free agents will sign. And it was good. And it was, again, you get that taste of beautiful baseball and what it'll be like. But there's so much to happen after it, and we can't even get to daydream about it yet because the negotiations still aren't at a good point. I mean, we hear there's progress. The 2 biggest issues: owners, they want expanded playoffs because that's the money. Players, they want less arbitration because that's the money. And those issues kind of haven't been addressed yet. The meeting updates, I do feel like we're getting slightly more contentious. Is that fair?
I think
the updates aren't as honky-dory.
Like 2 weeks ago, they started meeting regularly, and they were still fairly nice updates.
Yeah.
And the biggest positives was that there weren't new negatives. So it wasn't ever big progress, but they were agreeing in principle to some things and inching towards each other. But now it does start to feel like we're getting into that like media cycle we saw 2020.
Weren't there some tweets the other day like the meeting got a little hostile or guys were getting angry or something?
I think I saw that. It feels like we're approaching where we were 2020 when they were starting to use the media to do each other's talking.
Yeah. So either way, I was thinking of kind of reverse engineering what we did yesterday because it was exciting, man. Talking about Freddie Freeman and where he could actually sign next year. Carlos Rodon can sign anywhere in the world. Carlos Correa, unsigned. He could end up in so many places. And that changes the outlook of the season so much. I thought it would be interesting And Trev sparked this a little bit yesterday as well because we talked about the Dodgers, and their lineup is still stacked. The Dodgers lineup right now, Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, Justin Turner, Max Muncy, Will Smith, Chris Taylor, Cody, A.J. Pollock, Gavin Lux currently slotted into their DH spot. I mean, you could swap Lux and Muncy pretty easily, move some things around. Either way, their pitching staff right now, and I think this is where, when we talked about the mighty Dodgers previously, their pitching staff was crazy. Walker Buehler, best friend of the pod. He's listed as the 1. That's good. He's awesome. Julio Urias, he's listed as the 2. Awesome. Also really good. 2 years younger than Walker Buehler. People forget he got called up really early. Right now in your 3 slot, Tony Gonsolin. I like Tony Gonsolin. Sure. Andrew Heaney is listed as the 4. The Heen Dog became a little bit of a joke in some New York sports circles this year, only because he got lit up. Felt a little bad for him, but it was bad. it was pretty bad. And then David Price, 36-year-old David Price, who was kind of relegated to the bullpen last year. He's got the tires worn out a little bit. In contrast to that, I mean, the Dodgers started last year. They still had Trevor Bauer. Dustin May was a lot of people's breakout players for last year. He's out.
I don't know what his exact timetable is, but he did go out early. He'll be back at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I'd expect him midway through this year, something like that. But Clayton Kershaw, one of the best pitchers of all time, a free agent. There's a good chance he could go to L.A. There's some serious stuff around Texas. Max Scherzer. They emptied the tank at the deadline to trade for Max Scherzer. He signed with the Mets. He's gone. Max Scherzer was their 1 last playoffs. Don't get me wrong. Walker Buehler is a 1A, if not 1B. But as of right now, the Dodgers, and that was the whole free agency, right? The big teams didn't make their moves. The Yankees roster right now isn't pretty. The Yankees need a shortstop. They need a first baseman. I guess they don't need a first baseman. We've talked about this a lot on Talking Yanks.
They need at least one of a new first baseman, new center fielder. One of those 2 have to get filled, but
I mean,
shortstop is a must.
Currently, guys that are not on the Yankees that were last year, I mean, they trade for Anthony Rizzo. Corey Kluber was in the rotation for parts of the year. Brett Gardner always plays 140 games. That same Heen Dog we just referenced. Clint Frazier, that cycle ends. Darren O'Day, wow. The Yankees still have moves to make. And reminder, Yankees were like sad sacks for a little bit last year. And we think they're going to make a move on a Correa or a Story. Maybe they're not.
Like they had 2 different extended good runs, but really other than that, last year they were bad. I know they finished 92 wins and in the playoffs, but
ugly season. So that's where I want to check in and see where these teams are really at right now. Because sure, there's free agency and trades that are about to come in a whirlwind, but when they do, I think we can be better prepared to see where the teams land. So we're an East Coast bias pod. I believe if the lockout ended today, the best team in the AL East, I think, is your Toronto Blue Jays. Reminder, Blue Jays signed Kevin Gausman. They had traded for Barrios during last season, and then they extended him. Ryu was their 1. They've got him in the 3 slot right now. Alek Manoah was a breakout rookie last year. And right now they have Chicken Strips, Ross Stripling in the 5 slot, which, again, is a guy, major league guy. We'll see if they are done moving rumors. I didn't mention Nate Pearson. Remember super prospect Nate Pearson? Right now it has him listed in AAA. He was supposed to be an impact guy for them last year. We'll see. And they still have Springer, Bichette, Guerrero, Teoscar, Gurriel, Grichuk, Biggio. Could I put Alejandro Kirk in? I could. Because boy, do I love him. Besides third base, where right now they have Santiago Espinal listed, and I know Biggio can move around. They lost Simeon. They lost Robbie Ray, but they replaced Ray with Gossman, so that's kind of a one out, one in. But the lineup has never been the concern for Toronto. The Blue Jays are sitting pretty. Even their bullpen, I mean, Romano, Meza, Simber, Yimi Garcia. Man, Julian Merriweather, that's always going to be a weird one for us because he looks so good on a memorable opening day. The Blue Jays, I think, if you rolled the ball out there tomorrow, I think in the American League East, they're the best team. Is that, how controversial is that, BBD?
I think I'd probably go as far as to say that AL, they're on paper best in the league right now with half an off season to go, where things currently stand. At least I think, I mean, the Rays, you just kind of have blind trust, but we're talking about on paper teams here. Like, Red Sox aren't super far behind. I think if they looking at their roster resource page right now, if they get Schwarber back, I think that he would fit perfectly. I feel that more firmly today looking at this than I did yesterday on the Talking Baseball episode. Because like right now, JBJ is penciled in as a starter. If he's your fourth outfielder, that's a much better situation.
Yeah.
Schwarber's playing a lot more left field or getting Dahlbeck not an everyday player. Maybe he is now. He's young. He could have gotten better.
Bobby.
Bobby.
Yeah,
but they don't have him right now. Red Sox are in a good spot.
Yeah, I think with the Red Sox, their top five is still pretty stacked. Kike, Devers, Bogarts, JD, Verdugo. And then right now we've got the young guys, Dahlbeck and Duran, who's going to pan out of that crew. And then Vasquez and JBJ is almost the opposite. Like, we know those guys, and you kind of know what you're going to get, and they're, kind of basting at their heart. I think the big Boston argument would be Chris Sale. And if he comes back and he's a 32, 33-year-old Chris Sale, him and Nate Dogg at the top of the rotation, Pivetta. Remember how good he was in the playoffs? What the hell was that?
Yeah.
What the hell was that, Nick Pivetta?
Hauk.
Hauk, if you think he can break out. Yeah, I mean, I just think
they have a good group of that tier between Pivetta, Hill, Waka, Hauk, and Paxton. You believe two of those guys will be good contributors? You don't know which one. And the Yankees have played that game. It's not fun.
Red Sox fans, I'll always let you talk back to me. Because, sometimes it's tough to get rid of my bias. I know my guy Sheedy sometimes is in here. I guess my thing is right now, and that's what we're doing, I think the Blue Jays lineup is just a tick better than the Red Sox. Maybe it's a person deeper for sure.
The Blue Jays, I think, right now have, on paper, the lineup most people think they're going to have for the regular season. Yeah,
with maybe another infielder. Yeah. But, I mean, right now the end of Boston is, like you said, Dahlbeck, Duran, Vasquez, Bradley, which, is Schwarber coming back? Is there another move to be made there? Interested to see. And then, yeah, same thing with the rotation. I mean, Evaldi, Sale, Pivetta, I think you'd lean Barrios, Gossman, Ryu. Maybe the Red Sox have a little more depth, especially if Paxton comes back next year. And then the bullpen, I think I'd still lean Toronto a little bit. So
it's close.
It's all very tight, but I think Toronto is like +1 barely in each category.
Yeah, like it's not overwhelmingly in any given category, but I think each of them they are a tick ahead.
I guess the team that's always lurking and you never know what to do with is the Tampa Bay Rays.
Their whole thing is it's guys that preseason you didn't hear of, and now they're here.
my whole thing last year was that the Rays lineup is better than it's ever been. I still think they're top 4. Brandon Lau, Wander Franco. What's he going to be next year? Is he taking a jump to like elite baseball player? Is he just being good? In the playoffs, he looked fucking elite last year. He was nasty. We love Meds, Austin Meadows and Randy Rosarena. And then G-Man, Yandy, Margot, Zanino, Kiermaier. I mean, that's some Rays bullshit down there, but it works really well for the Rays. Their rotation, it just doesn't get you excited. You wonder what McClanahan is going to become. 25 starts last year. So, like, the kid should be ready to do it. Age 25 season coming up. Lefty that pumps 98 easily. Has a chance to be really good, but we need to see it for a full season. And then it's Drew Rasmussen, Corey Kluber, our guy Yarby, and then Luis Patino, who was supposed to be kind of the future for them, the 22-year-old. He's now listed as their 5, which that's interesting. We'll see. I think our guy Glass now is going to be out for most of the year, if not.
They can't bank on him.
Yeah. Two-Way McKay had a bad injury. Yanni Chirinos, remember him? Fun name to say.
I assume he'll be back at some point.
They're just the Rays.
Blind trust. Their bullpen, all those names are gross.
Man, I forget about the Rays. And just Wander. Wander's a game changer. Because you can do a bunch of Rays stuff, but at the end of the day, you were going to see guys like Yandy Diaz hitting 2-hole, which not to be a shot at Yandy Diaz, but when you compare that to the Blue Jays, and you're either talking about like Bichette or Springer or Vladdy or, Teoscar's won a couple Silver Sluggers back-to-back, I think. If Wander Franco is a star, she has a full chance to be.
He doesn't need to be it next year, but if he is it next year.
I mean, the Rays are just going to be there. It's hard for me to say they're going to be a better team than the Blue Jays, but they were last year. And, I mean, they had Nelson Cruz. Colin McHugh was huge for them last year, micropenis. Some bullpen guys, but that just comes and goes. And Nelson Cruz wasn't great for the Rays last year. They're sitting pretty. They always are. Our Yankees, we talked about it a bit. I mean, they currently don't have a shortstop. They have Gio Urshela still listed as the shortstop. Even their shortstop depth, Tyler Wade, Andrew Velasquez, they got rid of those guys. So that's, obviously one of the biggest questions of the baseball offseason. Are the Yankees getting one of the big shortstops? Do they really believe in Anthony Volpe? I mean, he's become a top 10 prospect in baseball. Everyone preaches about him. I think Keith Law just had something that said he'll be in the league very soon. Was that the phrasing of it?
And read his specifically. But like every top 100 list and national prospect rankings, they have Volpe very, very highly regarded.
They're in. I guess Yankees fans are leaning on DJ LeMahieu being healthy and getting back to what he was for them. A full season of Joey Gallo, what does that look like? It's got to look better than what 40 games of Joey Gallo looked like.
Certainly better than what they saw.
Is Aaron Hicks back? Are they addressing center field, first base? Luke Voit seems like it, the way they finished the year with him. And if we're remembering this Yankees team right, it was all about, like, they needed more balance in the lineup. They needed more speed. So far this offseason, all they've done is get rid of that in Tyler Wade, Velasquez. So, again, this is a team we're expecting to make big moves going forward. Oakland trade, everyone wants that. As of right now, Cole, Monty, Sevy. Depends where you feel about Monty. Depends where you feel about Sevy. Everyone kind of feels the same way about Cole. Nestor and Herman are your 4-5 right now. I mean, that's coin flippy. Tyone will be around. He's got a
He's not going to miss a ton of time.
ankle injury, so he's supposed to miss some April, whatever it is. I guess when you throw him in the rotation, and that was the Yankees' strength last year, was the pitching. They just haven't addressed the hitting at all. And the hitting and defense was like sad last year.
It was not only underwhelming, but it was like legitimately bad.
So I don't know. I mean, honestly, and maybe it's due to the Blue Jays have moved some of their chess pieces this offseason. They got Gossman. They did that. The Red Sox and Yankees haven't done much. Sox signed Paxton. He might be back later in the year. You'd have a hard time telling me the Yankees or Red Sox are above the Rays and the Jays as of right now. I mean, again, I hope we have a fun offseason to come in Yankee land.
Where things currently stand.
Sox are supposed to be movers and shakers as well. But yeah, it's always that eye-opening AL East moment where you're like, so wait, the Yankees or Red Sox could be a fourth-place team next year? Because that's not cool. I don't like that.
I mean, looking at the projected lineup Fangraphs has, I think about how bad Glaber was last year, and he was better when he moved to second base full time, and maybe that was regressing to the mean. Maybe that was the move back to second. So we'll see this year. It's an important year for him, but right now he's penciled in as your 6-hole hitter when he was really as bad as it gets.
Right.
Lineup construction discussions are.
You hope he flips, but we don't know. We don't know anything. Orioles 5th place. Signed Rugned.
He'll be cute.
He's going to hit 35 homers next year. And he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. And we blew it as a baseball society. Yeah, I don't know. Orioles, genuinely wish I could talk about you sometimes, but can't. Can't play with them. Can't do it. AL East, I think that kind of went a little long, but I think that is the toughest division. I mean,
they have the most teams worthy of discussion for this of any division.
Blue Jays won 91 last year. Yankees, Red Sox won 92. Rays won 100. So, those are 4 upper-class teams. Man, that sprint after the lockout, that's going to be the good stuff.
We stick in the East. We sticking with the AL.
Let's finish the AL. That's where my brain's at for whatever reason. Chicago White Sox.
There's a discussion.
Are still really good. Anderson, Moncada, Abreu, Grandal, Robert, Jimenez, Gavin Sheets, some people are into that, / Andrew Vaughn, Adam Engel, Lurie Garcia. Your rotation, Lance Lynn, Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease, Dallas Keuchel, Michael Kopech, probably making the jump to the rotation this year. In the bullpen, Liam Hendricks, Craig Kimbrell, Aaron Bummer. Reminder, they signed Kendall Graveman, who was really good last year. And Garrett Crochet is out there. This team is stacked. Beebs, you mentioned briefly that there's a discussion here. Is anyone in... No one's in White Sox range, right?
In this division, not really. Phone just went off.
You just get a call?
Yeah, some weird Pennsylvania number. I didn't recognize. They have a group they're comfortable with and still could add to it. And I guess everyone does say they're gonna trade Kimbrel, at least when they picked up the option. That's what the reports were. They're gonna trade him at some point. But even that, they still have Hendricks, Bummer, Graveman, Crochet.
And I mean, it's not like they're gonna trade Craig Kimbrel for prospects. It's not. I mean, maybe they will.
Maybe they will, and then you have that option. You have more options moving forward. But you'd assume they get something that's going to help.
Team's in their window. I don't know.
They get trading from depth, and you want to be in position to make more moves in the future.
Dirty Craig. AL Central, there's not a team on their level. I mean, Detroit signing guys.
Yeah, they're a team on the rise, but no.
Detroit is a team on the rise. Minnesota's in like a weird refresh. I felt bad. I was tweeting out. I looked at their rotation the other day, and I was like, my goodness. And then I felt bad because Randy Dobnak's been pretty friendly on Twitter, so I didn't want to be shot fired at him.
Like Dobnak.
Twins rotation right now is Dylan Bundy, Bailey Ober, Joe Ryan, Randy Dobnak, Lewis Thorpe.
Joe Ryan's like a real prospect for them, but prospect's a prospect.
He is, and he could, Joe Ryan could not have a good year next year, and that wouldn't surprise anyone.
Like, he doesn't need to.
Like, he's a young player. Their lineup still speaks, man. Arias, Buxton, Polanco, Donaldson, Kepler, Garver, Sano, Kirilloff. Like, BBD, you just mentioned right now the Yankees, they have Gleyber Torres in the 6th slot, who they hope he bounces back. But, like, Kirilloff, it's a young, big prospect. Sano in the 7th slot. I know his shine has worn off a little bit. The Twins can still mash if they can tap into that identity somewhat, but their rotation, their pitching in general just isn't there. Cleveland's the opposite, and they're kind of sad in their own way. I mean, let me read to you the bottom 4 in the Guardians lineup right now. Right now in the 6th hole, they have Steven Kwan.
Not in my book.
Playing left field. Not sure what that's about. Jimenez, the kid they got from the Mets, he had a 218, 282, 351 year last year. Austin Hedges, notoriously can't hit. Nice guy, hot. Bradley Zimmer. And that's Miles Straw, Ahmed Rosario. And then Jose Ramirez, Franmil, and Bobby Bradley, my guy who I like mostly because of alliteration, Bobby Bradley.
And Cleveland just organizationally feels like they're willing to trade kind of anyone at any time. So
their pitching still has a chance to click. It is cool when you look at it. Bieber, Plesac, Quantrill, Savale, McKenzie.
Yeah, that 5 and then some nice names in that bullpen. They'll stumble into some wins.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing. If you gave me the Twins versus Guardians, you still go Guardians because at least they have pitching, and if they find enough hitting, they'll win games.
Enough guys that can homer, and then you got 3 runs.
So I guess the question in the division, and Kansas City is almost in the same boat as those teams. I mean, we talked about them last year. They're fun. Maybe Bobby Witt comes up and he's a superstar. Adalberto Mondesi was out for a lot of last year.
They'll be a pleasant watch, but there's a ceiling.
Mike Minor, Keller, Singer, Bubic, Carlos Hernandez. If you can decipher the difference between the Twins, the Guardians, and Kansas City, let me know. Because it looks like both teams just equal up to a 76. Overall team ranking 76.
The Royals have prospects that have like a good crop of prospects that are coming. Like this year, we're gonna see Bobby Witt,
Isbell,
a couple other
supposed
guys.
to be a guy.
Those young pitchers that are in there.
Asa Lacy.
Real.
Asa Lacy sounds like a porn star name.
I think it's Asa.
Not when I say Asa. And then Detroit is your other wild card here, which they went 77 and 85 last year. They signed Javi Baez. Torkelson is supposed to get the call. They traded for our guy Tucker Barnhart. They signed Erod. Forgot about that. Jesus, how long ago does that seem?
Deal.
My God, that seems forever ago. Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal, Matt Manning, all big pitching prospects. Tyler Alexander, how about that? With the bullpen that really improved later last year, I remember a bunch of Tigers fans yelling at me. White Sox are just in a different world. I mean, yeah. Maybe the Tigers have more juice. Like they say they're all in. They got Baez. They gave him a big boy contract. 6 years. Akil Baddoo, everyone loves him. I don't know. Nobody is on the White Sox plane. They just aren't.
Not for the purposes of what this activity is.
And the rest of the Central, ugh. I just wish they had, like, I almost wish, like, if you were Cleveland, I wish they traded Jose Ramirez and got another stud pitcher, and it was just like, well, Cleveland pitches.
Like actually,
they're
strategy,
nasty.
Pitch you to death, and
they're gross. Like, they just need to score a couple runs. But, I mean, their pitching's not scary. Bieber, Quantrill, Plesac, Savali, McKenzie. It's nice. Young guys that, could continue to get better. Kansas City just seems to be the same thing. Detroit, you're getting better, but where are you really going? AL Central.
Year,
Yeah, and Nate Steele, our guy in the chat, Royals were exciting. Salvi. Yeah, I mean, that's what BBD said. I mean, not a bad watch, but
I think they're them and the Tigers are going to be watchable.
How about this? Right now, you can't convince me that Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City, or Minnesota will be above 500.
It's like one of them.
Like, one of them for sure
probably
will,
but
you can't tell me which one.
Same as
with any confidence.
Same thing as like my Phillies are going to sign somebody thing where it's like, but I wouldn't put them as the favorite for any single guy.
I don't see, and again, I would love some feedback. Colin Davis in the chat said, "Why 2 giant coffees?" If you'll see, I tried to get one with light cream, light sugar to try to get that like dark brown coffee, but there's cream in there. Mm-hmm. And instead I got this. So instead of being like confrontational with the guy, I just said, okay, can I get a coffee black as well? So I'm going to mix them. I don't know if you guys saw earlier, I took a sip out of both.
Did the in-mouth mix.
So I'm just doubling down on the in-mouth mix there. So yeah, that's a little look into the window of my life and the AL Central. The AL West. This was one of the ones I'm most excited on. I don't think I have my opinions even locked in. The Houston Astros are still the Houston Astros, but right now we have to consider them without Correa, which, like, the Correa rumors back to Houston haven't been anything because they kind of lowballed him on a contract extension. I think they offered him the Javi Baez extension, even less than that, I think. Altuve, Brantley, Bregman, Yordan, Yuli, Kyle Tucker. We get away from the Astros, and then you remember they're fucking stacked, man.
They've got nice platoons with center field. And yeah, gross.
They are stacked. Jose Siri, I loved that guy during the playoffs last year. He's electric. And their pitching staff, how about this? Listed as their number 1 starting pitcher, Justin Verlander. Remember his free agency? Remember future Yankee Justin Verlander? Lance McCullers Jr., who kind of full-on broke out. Framber Valdez, love him. Luis Garcia. Jose Urquidy in the 5 slot with a strong bullpen. Zach Greinke and Carlos Correa are free agents. They lost Kendall Graveman. They lost a couple other bullpen guys. They didn't have Verlander last year. They're getting him back. And it feels like they have a free agent move up their sleeve. I just don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Trevor Story. And if it is, my goodness, they will be so stacked. We get excited about Seattle. We get excited about Texas. Houston has a top 6 in their lineup and 4 starting pitchers who are really good and have playoff experience. I'll go to Seattle next just because I think they have the best shot. J.P. Crawford, Adam Frazier, Mitch Haniger, Ty France, Kelnick. Can he make the jump? Who is Jared Kelnick? That's a fun game. Kyle Lewis, we like him. Toro, they got him for the Graveman Flip, excuse me. I started saying Jake Fraley, so I said Fripp. This team can use another bat. We talked about Chris Bryant yesterday. It definitely feels like they need a little more locked-in pop in the middle of their lineup. And I think they can get that because, again, no offense to Jake Fraley, but I think they have a corner outfield spot available, and that's a pretty easy position to get instant pop, whether that is Chris Bryant, Jock Peterson, Schwarber. You got options there. So Seattle is going to add a bat. I don't think we can factor that in right now. They signed Robbie Ray. They signed the Cy Young winner. The Seattle Mariners. They signed the Cy Young winner, Robbie Ray. Marco Gonzalez, been there for a while, does his thing. Chris Flexen. He had a really nice year last year. 31 starts, a 3.61. Logan Gilbert. Remember him? He kind of had a knockoff Glasnow look. Tall, lanky, a lot of skills to him. He got 24 starts in last year. What's he going to be? And they have Justin Dunn slated in. I think they'll have a couple other options.
Young boys.
Their bullpen was good. Diego Castillo, Paul Sewald, both shoved. Drew Steckenrider. 100 Miles Giles in that Seattle bullpen. How about that? Man, do a documentary on that guy. Seattle's a nice team. I guess clicking back in, it's kind of a reminder that they're fun, they're talented. I still don't think they have the top-end talent that Houston does have. Let me list the top 6 of Seattle's lineup again. J.P. Crawford. Nice. Kind of defense-first shortstop. Not a bad hitter, not a great hitter. Adam Frazier. Solid. Mitch Haniger. Had a huge year last year. Give Mitch Haniger a lot of credit. Ty France. Good. Kelnick. Can he break through? And we mentioned Kyle Lewis again. Houston in their 6th slot has Kyle Tucker, who you could argue is the best hitter of everyone I just mentioned on Seattle. Jose Altuve.
Kyle Tucker's baseball savant profile is just an absolute treat. 557
slug last year for Kyle Tucker. Yuli Gurriel, did he get the batting title last year? He's all around it. Altuve, Bregman's going to bounce back. That being said, after just looking at the AL Central teams, I like Seattle. I do like Seattle. I feel good about that. Oakland, this one's kind of funny because we think they're going to trade away Matt Olson or Matt Chapman or both. Bassett, Minaya, Montes. It's funny. This is kind of a solid team, but we think it's about to be broken up. This was a part of the exercise I thought was going to be funny because I don't know what you do with it. That being said, Elvis Andrus is their shortstop. He was bad last year. They have Seth Brown listed as their DH. Piscotty had a bad year. Pinder. They're losing. They've already lost Starling Marte, Mark Canha, Yan Gomes. Other free agents for them, Josh Harrison, Andrew Chafin, Jed Lowry, Sergio Romo, Jake Diekman, Mitch Moreland. Trevor Rosenthal, Chris Davis, Mike Fiers. A's, I think they're one of the teams I can cheat a little bit with. They were an 86-win team last year. They are heading south. And I don't think they're going to make a big, splashy free agent signing. Let's talk about teams that did make flashy free agent signings. The Texas Rangers. They signed Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. Marcus Semien had one of the best seasons a second baseman's ever had last year. 45 home runs. Put him in the two-hole. Corey Seager, 306, 394, 521 slugging. Middle of that lineup. Adolis Garcia. They're hoping Willie Calhoun can hit. I think he can too. But then
all come together.
It's still thin after that. Nathaniel Lowe, Nate Lowe, former Rays great. Cole Calhoun, Jonah Heim, Nick Solak, Isaiah Kiner, Falefa. Will he be traded?
Love.
You'd really love one more bat, if not two more. And that's where I get scared with Texas because their pitching staff is young. They signed John Gray. Remember that.
Ooh.
But listed as their one. And I think that's a John Gray the one is a John Gray the three is like a okay.
John Gray the four.
John Gray the four, you're like badass. Let's roll. So that's a little unfair. Dane Dunning, they got him in the Lance Lynn trade, if you remember. He had 25 starts last year, a 4.51 ERA. Taylor Hearn, love him. Love that guy. AJ Alexi, 23-year-old. Remember, he had a nice start against the Yankees, but so did a lot of people. And then Spencer Howard, Phillies prospect. Traded over to Texas for Gibby, right?
Gibby and Ian Kennedy.
Right.
Now, but was a good reliever last year.
This Rangers rotation feels like the opposite of their old man, Gibby, Lance Lynn. I think it was Jordan Lyles. Someone else was there. Kluber. This feels like the opposite. Like, I think these are all young guys that can have a nice year. Like, I think Taylor Hearn can have a really nice year. That's unbiased. Like, I think Dane Dunning could have a nice year. That's unbiased. I think John Gray could have a nice year. That's unbiased. I think the odds of them all doing it is slim. I think you have a good chance of one of them doing it.
I think one will definitely.
Two would be almost wild. Three, almost impossible in baseball.
Three guys getting their kind of best case scenario for a year.
So Texas supposedly isn't done. They have Semien and Seager. Adelise's numbers finished in an interesting place, but he's a threat. He's a good ball player.
Position, center field, positional value.
Here's what I'll say. They signed two amazing hitters at like tough positions to get hitting, shortstop and second base. I'm still taking Seattle's lineup, I think.
Yeah.
And you take Seattle's pitching. They just signed Robbie Ray. And they could pitch a little bit before that. So I know Texas made some splashes, but they're not there yet, which brings us to everyone's favorite AL West team, which, again, talk about a lineup. Shohei, Trout, Jared Walsh with 29 ding-dongs last year. Anthony Rendon was hurt pretty much all last year. He's awesome. He's 31. Like, in my head, I thought I was going to see, like, 34 maybe. Anthony Rendon's 31. Like, expect him to be good. Brandon Marsh is a big prospect. Joe Adele is a big prospect. David Fletcher is David Fletcher.
Nice piece.
Max Stassi, I don't know. Foolish likes him.
I think he
What
was.
the fuck's that mean?
Don't know his full deal. I think in general he's one of the better offensive catchers because catching is what it is.
I mean,
Justin Upton on your bench.
Jesus, get paid. Get paid, Justin Upton. So okay, let's keep jumping ahead in the division a little bit. The Rangers signed Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, and they're probably the fourth best lineup in the division. Not taking them over the Astros. You're not taking them over the Angels. Ohtani and Trout. Are you kidding me? Mariners. We just did that a little bit. I just think they're a better team up and down the lineup.
Good vibes.
And then you can have them over the Athletics. But can you really, if we're playing my exercise the right way?
Yeah, like we all know we think are going to break it all up.
Like if Matt Olson and Matt Chapman were back, like there's a discussion. So that's where it's tough. Tough for Texas Rangers fans, I think. Shohei pitching, Ohtani, Syndergaard, Sandoval, Michael Lorenzen, Suarez. He's actually a nice young pitcher. I like him. And they've got some guys in the bullpen. Reisel, they signed Aaron Loop. Found the fountain of youth or whatever the hell Aaron Loop found. 0.95 ERA last year. Grosso. Angels have talent. The joke has always been pitching. At least they sent a flyer in Syndergaard.
They have addressed it. They need to do at least one more thing there.
If you could get Sandoval or Suarez to have a nice year, I don't think either of that's out of the norm. I mean, this team's a lot better than Texas, I think.
Yeah, for this activity, they are. Would have loved if they got Stroman.
This team's better than Oakland. Yeah. And I mean, hey, I picked them for Rodon. We say it every year. They need more pitching.
It's another thing that's stuck out about their roster resource page. Trout listed in left field. I don't know if that's a thing that's officially gonna happen. Would make some sense because he's had some of those lower body like muscle fast twitch injuries last year specifically. That's what kept him out. So
yeah,
is that happening now?
I think there was
is
definite discussion last year after he got hurt again.
And Marsh is young and
he had a calf strain. So yeah, Angels insiders, you'd have to let me know it. Well, Nate Steele's here, right? He's our Angels insider.
Is that the plan, or is that just
Reed Detmers? Nate just said that he's a pretty legit prospect if he can make the jump.
True.
I mean, Angels fans, I think we want to drink the Kool-Aid. I think every year people kind of want to drink Angels fans' Kool-Aid. Is that a gross sentence? A little bit.
They're so close to being good. But it's so close yet so far.
The Angels could be better than Seattle next year. I wouldn't place a bet on it right now. I think especially with the Robbie Ray signing and all the good energy they had last year. Remember how fun Seattle was? The Angels have talent. I guess that's why they're always kind of enigmatic. They have a lot of talent. Dude, Ohtani, Trout, Rendon. Like 4 times a game, that should punish pitchers. That should destroy pitchers. They should bat Trout leadoff. Go Trout, Ohtani, Rendon. You know Trout's OBP last year while he played? 466.
I mean, I think that I want to see if he mostly led off. I don't know what factors go into their lineup construction thing, but I think he's pretty often their leadoff guy. But Shohei's fast as hell, too.
Yeah, see, Fletcher, someone mentioned Fletcher in the chat. I just think his stats don't, and he ended up with a 297 on base last year. I know he had a horrible start and he bounced back, but still.
I think he's better as a second leadoff.
It would be kind of Nationals when they went, 2019 Nationals when they went Trey Turner and then Adam Eaton. Like, you're just kind of throwing Fletcher in there for when he does good. That really sets you up for Ohtani and Trout. I don't think you need to do that. Or Rendon and Trout, excuse me.
Trout mostly batted third last year, also only 36 games, but
466 on base, 624 slugging. Keep Mike Trout healthy. With Ohtani, with Rendon. I'm drinking some Angels Kool-Aid. Trevor Plouffe said that the other day. I thought he was being a casserole. Now look. Now look where we're at. I mean, how deep are we in? We're really rolling, BBD.
we're 50.
50? Nifty United States? What do we have after this?
Talking Yanks at noon. I know we were. If we could start earlier, it seemed like that was going to benefit you guys.
Right.
But
Let's roll quick. NL, sorry. Sorry, National League. I love you.
yeah,
God, the NL East is such... I don't know if I can. We might have to table it.
you can do an NL day. It doesn't seem like anything's going to change in the next.
Okay. I think that's the answer.
Yeah, NL day coming.
We did an AL day today. NL. If you're an NL fan and you've been listening, I'm sorry. I just little brothered you a little bit. We'll get you on Monday. Because, man, I was just going to try to do Mets, Braves quick. That's almost impossible. And then the NL West. Padres, Dodgers, Giants. Oh, my.
Cardinals have close to the team you expect.
The Birds, the Brewers.
Brewers need a bat.
Look at me. I'm brew crewed up right now. All right. AL only, which brings us to the comment of the day. Sorry, NL fans, if I tricked you a little bit today. Huge NL week next week. This was an AL week. Who would have thought it? Wake and J Crew, we're up to 4.98. Wow. 20 away subs from 5K. You guys are the best. Last episode we did Is Brady Retired? And Bengals and Rams going to the Super Bowl. Let's see. Ed Strudis. The Chiefs felt like a baseball team that is up 15 games in September and cruises into the playoffs and then ran into a hotter, hungrier opponent. Sure. We love a good cross-sport comparison. Robbie VTV. I think I might have mentioned this briefly. If McDaniels has success with the Raiders, will he be the Broncos fan base most hated person ever? The answer is yes. Broncos fans really hate Josh McDaniels. You come in somewhere and you try to be a young punk and it doesn't work, you're hated. It's kind of like Jim Halpert to Ryan, the temp. Evolves from the temp. I won't give any spoilers away. Jamie Jarrett, longtime fan. When the start of baseball season is inevitably delayed, the first F1 race will be on March 20th to keep everyone entertained in the meantime. And this season should be flame emojis. Formula One sweeping the world. I wish we had like a Formula One guy in the office. I think producer Robbie said he watched. We'll figure it out. And we
just like knows stuff.
Jake's evil twin hosting Wake and Jake this morning. # Beard Poppy. It's just a normal goatee, people. Wish we'd start talking about. And Connor Green said, I was on the Herbert over Burrow train all season, but I think Burrow has ended that conversation. He pretty much has. He definitely has. Definitely has.
For now.
Thank you guys for leaving your comments, hitting like, watching, sharing, all of that. Bake the algorithm. That's what we say. Cook the YouTube books to make sure more people get baked with us. Bro of the night will be rude to BBD because it was one of the topics of the show, but it can go to Tom Brady. It can go to Tom Brady. All the fun fact stats are starting to leak out. And, I mean, he pretty much went to the Super Bowl in like half of his seasons.
His season started in the AFC Championship game most years.
Yeah, there was. I think the stat was there was more times. They're all freak stuff. I won't even give you guys the stats. He's Tom Brady. He's a part of America's lexicon. His wife is a borderline billionaire. He's like exhibit A of the game of life and how to win it. Everyone loves looking at that old combine picture. The baseball world is tied to Tom. Expo's great, Tom Brady. They also, that video of him hitting BP at Fenway was going around. Those are some, I don't want to say my darkest moments, because I have a lot of those. They showed Tom Brady taking BP at Fenway, and he just went yard super easy to right field. And you're like, oh. 6'4", 200. You can turn on a baseball and hit it out of Fenway. And I don't have that. Yet. Gonna start working on it with Trev. I don't know. We always talk about athletes and their dominance, and we say, like, we're not going to see that again. And then I feel like we do see that again. And I don't know if it's Mahomes. I don't know if it's someone else. You know, if you said there wasn't, you know, when MJ was retiring, I think everyone was like, well, we're never going to see that again. And then, you know, LeBron's of the same ilk. Like, I know BBD's are LeBron stan. But even wherever you stand on MJ LeBron, it's just the fact that it happened again.
There's a guy.
There always is. And I think football kind of puts up a shoulder to that, but especially with how QBs have become more and more important.
Yeah, what that position is.
So I don't know if it's Mahomes locks in, or if we just start talking about him as, you know, another super talented guy where it, you know, we didn't get the Super Bowls and everything we wanted, but man, I think we obviously got to see something special, and I think kind of more importantly, after a certain point we knew, and that became cool in its own way.
Like, yeah, like the LeBron stuff. I think people are still maybe just now with the Laker years, people are starting to try to appreciate in real time what we're seeing. Like Brady, it does feel like we got that.
Well, the other part was we got an extra like 6 years.
Yeah,
guy's 44.
We've kept thinking he was almost done since he was 38.
I guess that's why we probably appreciated him more, huh?
Yeah, and he's my bro of the night too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
If there's a time to double up,
that's a good one.
Like, how do I want to start this?
Ooh.
Did I like Tom Brady? No,
Giants fan.
But like, I didn't care. Like,
Right.
as Giants were like the one team that's like I didn't care about it, so I rooted for him in a lot of Super Bowls because the better he did against other teams, the more what the Giants did and what Eli did was cool. But I don't like people just like forget. Like Brady wasn't like he's not the most physically naturally gifted. He wasn't highly regarded. He's not the most toolsy. Still can't, never could run. Like yeah, he's big, but doesn't have the best arm. Like he was not supposed to be anything. He was,
anything.
What, a 6th round pick?
Six
quarterbacks drafted ahead of him. So like it was all like the work he did, like physically training and hours watching film and building relationships with teammates and coaches. Like it really is the epitome, and it's almost too high a standard. Like you can do anything if you are really, 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 really committed to it. Hasn't had a strawberry. Yeah. So.
Yeah, dude, you mentioned kind of the fitness thing. Like he's more athletic than he was at 44 than he was at 20, 22.
There's a ton of the like videos and like side-by-side pictures.
The whole
all the headshots, like he reverse aged.
The whole Alex Guerrero part of the story is still pretty wild because of everything that ties in there and the TB12 diet and stuff. But, yeah, man, I remember my first like coming around on Tom Brady just being a New York sports guy. He had, I think it was like back-to-back weeks. There was pictures of him. One, he was just riding a scooter, not like a riding scooter, like a kick scooter. And then I remember a couple weeks after that, he was just like wearing Uggs, not like fashionable Uggs. And I was like, you know what, Tom Brady, do you, man? And he sure did. And I think that's why he's retiring, because I believe he set some of his career highs for passing yards and completion percentage this year, some of the biggest QB stats. But that shows how much the NFL has changed. And he started off in a different era of NFL, a handed-off era. And part of what you were saying, like, he wasn't Joe Burrow and he wasn't allowed to be Joe Burrow. Like, he wasn't slinging it 50 times a game. In the NFL, you didn't do that. And then he has still evolved to be that. All time. Hope you enjoyed it, whether you were hating or loving it. Excited to see what's next, man. He's a football freak, but he's also a commitment freak. That's why he's not coming back.
He doesn't seem like somebody who's not going to be like part of our lives anymore. You know, he's not going to just go away. He does all the business stuff and
Autograph IO. That's where I got my NFT.
Like, I don't know. I don't see media as something he'll do, but like if he did, he could do it. He's gonna be around.
He's gonna be around. Congrats to Tom Brady. He needs to hear it from me. Congrats to BBD. Nice hair. Congrats to me. Brewers reliever look today, and congrats to the AL because you beat out the NL again. We'll talk some NL baseball coming up next time. Tom Brady's retired. Sounds like there's a commotion in the office. We're gonna check that out. Go check out everything on JOMBOY Media. We had a silly JJR yesterday where we drafted some slang words. That was a lot of fun. Talking baseball yesterday. We're telling you where the top 10 free agents are going. Boom. Compound Robbie Grossman from those Tigers we talked about. He was on this week. They might have a special guest next week. Wink. Talking Yanks. We're going live at noon, right?
Ish, yeah.
Wow.
We got time.
So much stuff on JOMBOY Media. Go watch the GeoGuessr, where I think it's labeled new mouse, new keyboard. I think you're going to like that. Watch everything. You guys are the best. We love you. Bake the algo. Sorry, NL.
Waking Jake at night. Jake sucks.